Rite of Passage, the podcast with Giabra Martin.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the episode. We are here with author Alan Rebot. Am I saying that? First off, am I saying that correctly, Rebot?
Yes. Yes.
Very good. All right. Well, how are you today?
Wow. Yourself?
Very well. Very well. So it's actually kind of funny. We kind of met, through people sort of thing. We actually, this is the first time we've like really, spoken. But I had a family member who's celebrating their 70th birthday, and she grew up with your mom in like Riverdale, Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like talking with your mom. She's like, "Oh, my son wrote a book," and she had a couple copies with her, gave me one, and that's how we got here. It's kind of funny how life goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm excited. So your book is called Rise of Ancients. Do you have a copy with you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, yeah. I want to hold up because I love the cover. I wish like, yeah, most of that's coming through. Oh,
Maybe. Nope.
we got most of it there. Yeah, I love the cover. I'm crazy about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and anything with Egypt, I don't know, just so fascinating. So, tell me a little bit about it. What is the premise here?
So the premise of the book is a ancient god is released accidentally into modern times. And similar to like the movie The Mummy, which people have come to me up or come up to me a million times, they are trying to revive their murdered love. So the difference between The Mummy and this one is that they're basically a necromancer, so they have to collect X amount of souls to do this, and based on how long it's been, that amount of souls grows exponentially. So he's been
Mm,
dead for like 2,000 years. So
okay.
he's need basically a few thousand people, million, whatever. So he's just
Yeah.
going to go for the entire city that he woke up in. On the
Mm,
flip side, since I love stories that take place from two different perspectives, it follows another story of a person just called Matt. They are kind of like their average Joe, and they get wrapped up in this whole zombie apocalypse. Turns out their coworkers a little more involved in this whole thing than they think.
mm.
Um, yeah, so everyone that he gets into contact with is trying to be on the hush hush side, and close to the end, he realizes he might not be even as young as he thinks. He might actually be part of this whole debacle.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool. Kind of into that. So is he like a reluctant hero kind of thing? Like he just kind of finds himself in
basically.
it and is like, I guess I can't walk away from it, but like I don't even know if it's my business. And
Exactly. So
yeah.
his fiance ends up being captured by the necromancer, and that's all he really
Mm.
cares about. That's all he can remember. So
Yeah.
he's just trying to save her. Meanwhile, the necromancer, Hades, actually is using her as like a catalyst to revive his long lost love. So only
Yeah.
one of them can really come out on top.
Yeah. So interesting. So I just finished a Greek mythology book, and Hades is one of my characters. I didn't know is Hades like also an Egyptian kind of character, or like
No,
just happens to
so
be named
the
Hades?
front of this looks Egyptian. So in the book, when all of the other gods kind of take Hades down in his first attempt,
Yeah.
they try to figure out a place that would be really safe, they could keep an eye on, and they decide to drag him over to Egypt, throw him in a sarcophagus,
Yeah.
and keep an eye on that pyramid, taking shifts, basically.
Okay. So there's someone always guarding it to ensure.
Exactly.
Yeah. So is Hades trying to revive Persephone then, or
Yes.
okay, very cool. All right.
Yeah.
Now I'm with you. Yeah, something about Greeks and Egyptians and Romans. There's an interesting bridge between these cultures for sure. And then I guess like Egypt to Atlantis, right? Like when Plato writes about Atlantis, it was like through friends in Egypt or something that gave him the story kind of thing. So there's a weird string between these cultures for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, your reviews are, I mean, stunning. I mean, 4.9 so far. So like people are loving the book. How long did it take you to write?
This one in particular, roughly 4 years.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, give
Yeah.
me one second. I hear my son crying. Let me just, sorry about that. Let me make sure my wife has him. Sorry about that. Yeah, when I do the edits, I'll cut out that little dead space there. Oh, I thought he was going to nap longer, and then it was a short one. Oh, so what inspired you to write this book? I mean, so really that's an interesting creative story. Like, where did this like the dream come from?
So this was basically like a Frankenstein monster of everything that I really like.
Yeah,
So like I am absolutely in love with horror books. Zombie novels are like my favorite thing to read.
nice.
So I want to do something with that. I love Greek mythology.
Yeah, yeah,
And then one of my favorite books is called Temple, and it follows a story of like this researcher in modern times, but also it's intertwined with the story of like some not conquistador or explorer
Mhm.
going through like the Mayan region like a few
Yeah, yeah,
hundred years ago, and they kind of play on each other and end up almost mixing in a sense. So I absolutely love that, getting
yeah,
different perspectives and just seeing how they come together later on. So I wanted to combine all of that into one book,
yeah.
and I guess on top of that, um, like if you've ever seen, I think it's called Storybrooke,
Mhm.
where they take all the Disney characters, but they have more realistic, darker backstories. So it's like the
Oh,
story of fairy tales that we were told. Those are very like watered down, cute,
yeah.
but
Like the
really
real ones are
dark.
much older. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So I wanted to kind of do that and change the way the gods were kind of seen or thought of,
right.
have more personalities, a different backstory, and while
Yeah,
Greek mythology is already very rich, I wanted to kind of change them just a little bit, give a tweak to them,
yeah.
and kind of see how they all play in a new sandbox.
You know, that's one thing, and I've been thinking a lot about Greek mythology just in like what I'm writing, and it kind of occurs to me there's a certain beauty in like like Moses gives you the Ten Commandments, and it's like very clear. Here's 10 things you should
Hmm.
and shouldn't do. But the Greek mythology, there's no clear lesson. Like
No.
it's all there, but they don't spell it
Hmm.
out directly. But the beauty is that every generation has the opportunity to take ownership and analyze it and be like,
Yes.
what does it mean? But
Hmm.
then also like without doing the work, there's no insights to be gleaned. So like for example, in Greek mythology, they'll say like, oh, Zeus did this, he came down as a swan and seduced this woman, but like and then
Yes.
we can infer he's like a womanizer and he's
Oh,
never
absolutely.
been able to look at something and say no if he wants it. But they don't tell you directly, like, this is why this happened. This is what they were thinking. We can just infer that, like, Poseidon can't forgive. The Hades is kind of greedy. He owns. I learned he's not just the god of the underworld, he's the god of all the minerals, everything beneath the dirt, right? So,
Yes.
like, gold, diamonds, everything that's buried, it all belongs to Hades. So, like, you can infer maybe like greed or gluttony or something. And then the whole thing with Persephone, right, where like she gets kidnapped by Hades and he makes her his wife. And then they work out an arrangement where she gets to come back to Olympus 9 months out of the year. And then 3 months out of the
Yep.
year, she's going to be the underworld queen. Or maybe
Yes.
it's eight and 4 months, but we never
Something
hear.
like that for winter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and so like what they did was they'd celebrate like, every time the spring would return, they'd say that's Persephone coming back up, and now the crops are going to grow, and like the sun's coming back, the cold is going away, and so she was like the
Hmm.
goddess of agriculture and queen of the underworld. And then
Yeah.
when it started getting cold, they're like, oh, she's gone back down to be the underworld queen kind of thing. But what we never get to see is like, what did Persephone think of all that? Like getting kidnapped and and she's like ransomed, and then they're like, oh, we have this deal. Like we never get to see like, oh, does she like being married to Hades? Does she like being the underworld queen? Is she miserable in this role? Is she just, this is my fate, I accept it? And so it is
Yeah.
fun to play with, like, to give life to these characters in terms of this is who they really are, this is how they think,
Mhm.
this is what makes them tick, what's motivating them. That's a hell of a lot of fun for me. Yeah. So
They definitely do lean more towards being more human-like than
yeah.
other religions, which is something I love about them. Because
Right.
instead of being like, I'm all powerful, I know best, yada yada, it's
Yeah.
they're very human. Like they have flaws. They don't try to hide it up. And sure, all the stories of the gods were from various cities, tribes, cultures, whatever in that Mediterranean area, and they all
Yeah.
just kind of compiled together as all the stories spread, and they could write stuff down. So that I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
oh, and it wasn't Storybrooke. Storybrooke is a city. It's Once Upon a Time. So
Hmm.
I need to rewatch that. It's such a good show.
But yeah, they give like some background to these Disney characters that are a little like
Yeah.
more connecting with the ancient stories, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like I don't think we know how old fairy tales are. Like there's a few we can identify. Like I think Cinderella, the original I think was German. It was called Aschenputtel. And something about that like always always makes me laugh a little bit. But I mean it's dark. Like these stories like Hansel and Gretel, I mean, they're dark,
Mhm.
man.
They were
Yeah,
meant to scare kids to kind of get them to behave.
right.
Uh, I actually have the book of all the original fairy tales, so whenever I have a kid, that is what they're going to be going to bed to.
Like, no, we're gonna tell you the real story. We're gonna tell you where Lullaby comes from, and
Yeah.
we're gonna keep the Lilith owl monster away. Oh, that's a lot of fun though. So in your book, Hades, his primary motivation is to revive Persephone. So like
Yes.
this is the love of his life, and he's like, if I'm existing, I'm not existing without her, and I don't care what the cost is. Like I am determined
Exactly.
to. So he's no longer running the underworld, but he's like back on Earth, and you said there's zombies.
Yes. So I try to take it a bit further. I also like sci-fi and fantasy. So
Yeah.
I made this whole kind of like backstory where all of these gods are actually from another planet.
Nice.
And in this dimension or world, whatever you want to call it, there is like a veil that controls or separates kind of like the afterlife or the spiritual side of things with
Yeah.
the physical. So at their planet, that veil was either very thin or broken. So people would manifest abilities. They would see these fantastical creatures.
Yeah.
Uh, but then come Earth, the veil is very thick. So you might
Right.
see like a ghost sighting, but no one really has any abilities. And if they do, it's laughable.
They're
So
subtle, like subtle. So you think of someone and they text you like, "Ooh."
yeah. And it's like, oh, cool. They just have this uncanny ability, but you're not really thinking too hard on it.
Yeah.
And so there's like a war with another race. They end up crash landing onto this planet and they
Mm.
decide our home planet's entirely gone. We want to protect the species that we essentially started as like a science experiment to see how they would
Right.
react. So their lifespans are much longer than ours because they have um, that energy from the
Yeah.
other side. So they would just go like, "Oh, these humans have gods," and we just kind of align with them, and they laugh at the stories. So there is no like underworld. Hades just is like a necromancer. He can raise the dead or make them as like puppets.
Yeah.
Uh, like Poseidon controls water, Zeus electricity, stuff like that. So I
Right.
just more abilities, almost like a weird version of Avatar.
Yeah.
Get all
Yeah.
these things. And the reason Hades wants to revive Persephone is in his home planet, everyone who has the ability to control the dead is kind of despised. They
Mm.
were captured at a young age, enslaved as like weapons of war, and that's all
Oh.
they know. If they try to run away, they disagree. There's like a little bomb placed into their neck, and it just explodes.
Yeah.
So Persephone was the only person to ever see him as being like human or a being.
Yeah.
And
They're decent, not just some like threatening.
yes.
Yeah.
So when she gets murdered next to him, he wants to rescue her. So he starts killing everyone left and right to try to revive her. But then everyone has this bias that he's just a monster,
Ooh.
give or take. He is killing in a sense, but he wants to bring her back. And he could have done it with just a few bodies, essentially. But now it's going to
Back
take.
in the day. I love a good villain with like complex motivations. You're like,
Mhm.
on the one hand, he's just like in love, right? And
Yes.
this is the person he cares about the most who makes life worth living. but on the other hand, is like willing to hurt a bunch of other people, destroy their love to get what he wants. I love a
Yes.
good complex villain. So I feel like you're a kindred spirit here. So I'm always looking for like, and it's so trippy, and I mean, it'll just put your mind in knots. But like, okay, I believe in God and angels, but I
Yes.
also believe in aliens, and I also believe that there's parallel dimensions that sometimes the veil is thin, as you said.
Yeah.
Like I live like okay, where I'm at, I swear it's haunted. I live on the original Trail of Tears, and I'm
Oh
down the
no.
street from like a Civil War battlefield. And I see like weird things. I always see like little out of the corner of my eye, like a little black shadow, or I'll be sitting on the couch and like, the pillow just tips over and I'm like, okay, like, oh, this is weird. So I'm always
Yeah.
looking for like, what the hell is some unified story about God, angels, aliens, different dimensions, human beings being in the mix of this? Like, what the hell is like, what is reality? Like, what is, yeah, some explanation that it can actually incorporate all of these things at
Mhm.
once. That's no one's done it yet. So it sounds like, I mean, that's something that's part of your book is like,
Yeah.
like maybe like kind of like the way Marvel Thor is like, he's not, we call him a god, but he's an alien, but he's a very human alien, very long
Yeah.
life, very powerful, but he's
Yeah.
not like a god per se,
No.
Yeah, something like that. Uh, so
Exactly.
why are necromancers despised on their home planet?
So I'm hoping to do prequel books where it has this, but there was like a uprising or a war that happened, and Hades was like the general of it, or war leader,
Mm,
whatever you want to call it. So all necromancers kind of fell under him, took over any bodies they could, basically owned like half the kingdom or country, whatever you want
yeah,
to call it. And this just made everyone realize these people are extremely powerful, so they can
right.
easily overtake all of us, because if they just kill one of us, it adds to their ranks. And it's not like the zombies we know that are just slow. If someone had very weak abilities, they might seem like that. Hades is
Mm,
where he could run through an area, kill someone stealthily, and then control the body almost immediately. And he can act like they aren't even undead. They might not be able
mm,
to speak, but they act very fluidly. They might be able to use weapons. They're extremely strong.
yeah.
So, depending on how strong someone's ability is, definitely changes how they use them.
So
Again, the
like the
same type of
zombies don't have free will, but they have all the capabilities they had before.
yes. They're
But
basically
they're
puppies.
technically dead. There's no coming back for them. Like they're not good. They're not
No,
under a trance. Like they're competent,
correct.
risk zombies.
So, unlike the one ritual, that actually brings a soul back from the other side, but it has to be
Hmm.
done specifically, and use essence, which is the energy from the void, to
Hmm.
kind of manifest this. But everyone else, if you're a zombie, you're a puppet. There's no conscience up there.
Yeah.
And people have like different trademarks, if you will. Like when he's a slave, one of his friends is called Chatter. So he's able to kind of get his zombies to speak. He learned that skill.
Hmm.
Another likes to take off one of their zombies' hands and sharpen the bones. So he's called Spike. So he will use that arm as like a spear.
Yeah. 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 So, okay, in terms of Hades, so it's basically like he's got a power that is too dangerous, and then he's on the losing side, like a Confederate general or something. So, like between those two,
Basically.
Hades is like not well regarded in his
No.
home world. Uh, that's super interesting for sure. So it sounds like because I have a copy and I was looking for it right before this. I was like, my house is not that big, and I'm like trying to. It's on one of the bookshelves, and I'm like dying looking for it. The book isn't tremendously large, but it sounds like you cover a
No.
hell of a lot of ground.
Yes.
Yeah, but I
I definitely shove
imagine
a lot in
there's
there.
there's got to be unanswered questions. So you were talking about prequels. You also thinking sequels too. Like
Yes.
we're going to build around this book. There's more story to tell.
Yes, definitely.
So are you currently working on the prequel or just kind of planning it, mapping it?
I started working on a prequel and a sequel at the same time, got a little bit ways into there. A different idea popped into my head, and that is where I am like 99% done with a different novel right now.
I honestly, that's like writing is addictive like that. Like once you get like writing that first book, you're like, holy hell, it's a whole thing and the editing, and then but after that, you're like, wait, I can do this. You're like, I got stories, and the
Yeah,
ideas are rolling. Yeah. So when is so you said 99% done? Are you so like deep in the editing? Are you in like beta reader
I am
phase?
very much deep in the editing. Um,
Yeah.
I'm just adding a few little things here or there.
Yeah.
Uh, Gonna edit those and then start sending that out to agents.
Okay. Do you
Yeah,
so that one could be yeah, I've never got I wasn't sure how to approach the whole literary agent thing, but the thing that was tripping me up in my mind is probably not a big deal is like, okay, you might spend, let's say, 6 months trying to get an agent, and then that agent spends 6 months finding a publisher, and then the publisher spends a year with the book. And then 2 years later, your book comes out and you pretend like it's brand new and like, I just did this. And that always like kind of felt weird because in 2 years, like I feel like I'm like so far into like a different project, and I'm like, okay, let's regress, let's come back, and I don't even remember what's in this book because it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Oh,
Um, but I mean, it sounds like you're close. You're getting near that phase. Do you want to talk about that book at all, even though it might be a while before
sure,
you see
sure.
it? Yeah.
So my current working title is At Death's Door,
Oh,
and this is a book that takes place in, well, starts off in like a snowy forest. The main character, Kayla, roughly like 28-ish,
yeah,
wakes up, has no idea how she got there because she was just recently driving away from her house and it was like spring or something. So
yeah,
she finds herself in this crazy place. She's going to freeze to death. So she starts walking and ends up finding refuge in like this abandoned manor in the middle of the woods, except the lights are on. And if she's ever like hungry or whatever she needs, it kind of just appears in front of her or around
mm,
the corner. So she doesn't know if she's truly alone.
yeah,
So she will wander around the house. She finds a skeleton key, figures out how to open many of the locked doors.
yeah.
And when she enters it, it basically transports her into one of her nightmares that she's had within life.
Ooh.
So she has to overcome every single nightmare to collect more keys so she can then unlock the final door, which she doesn't know whether that gets her back to her current life or the
Other side, as it were.
she can't run from the house because the forest is basically filled endlessly with these shadowy human figures that are
Yeah.
her. But also, no matter where she runs, she always ends up back at the house.
Ah, that sounds like a deeply metaphorical kind of story. Very symbolic from what you're describing.
Yes.
Oh, do you want to, without getting into any spoilers, do you want to like, I don't know, like where did the idea come from?
Honestly, like Dante's
Mind
Inferno,
comment?
for instance, where they go through all these different trials.
Yeah,
Same thing with Hercules. He has his labors. So I thought,
right.
why not kind of combine all that? And like, what if you were in an accident or something and it can go either way? Um, and death just wants to kind of play a game where
Hmm.
you complete all these trials, and if you do it within a certain amount of time, you go back to your body. Fantastic. If
Yeah.
not, you join the rest of the souls, which he's going to get your soul anyway, so he has really nothing to lose. So I thought that
Yeah.
was kind of a fun concept. So I just wanted to kind of run with that. Started going into different fears that people had. After talking with people, I realized a lot of people, when they were kids, they would look down in like a swimming pool, and there's those lane dividers, for instance. They come to a T, and
Yeah.
when the water is kind of rippling, some people's minds go to like shark, and they just freak out and have to get out of the water. And apparently,
Huh.
that's more common than I thought. So that
Really?
was one of the things I used. I have like dolls coming alive. So the very first room, um, she's in a bedroom, looks normal, ends up being chased by like a jack in the box. She leaves the room, but instead of going back into like the manor's hallway, she gets transported inside a dollhouse that she was just playing with a few moments ago. And the family in there of wooden figures is after her as well.
Whoa. That could be that'd be a hell of a movie. So is it in terms of the genre? I mean, is it kind of in the thriller category? I mean, it sounded like it's moving that way, or like psychological thriller,
I want to
mystery.
say supernatural thriller.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm into that. I mean, I can. It's very visual what you're describing. I can totally see it. It kind of like reminds me of like there's bits and pieces of like Hotel California comes to mind. This whole like you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Yeah,
But there's also this idea people talk about of like a life review, which is like I don't know, like it's like oh when you die, it's like okay, let's take an honest look at. And they people describe it in like these out of body experiences when they come back. It's like it's not that like God is judging you. It's almost like you're judging yourself when you can really look at yourself clearly. But
hmm,
you described that like she's going into these rooms and needs to face her own fears. And it's like
yes,
her willingness to do that is going to be the difference between getting out of there and not getting out of there.
hmm,
Uh, and I don't know, there's something about that that is like beyond fiction, right? Like it's a fictional story, but that as a concept is a very, 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 very true thing. Like our ability to progress through whatever, right? I mean, even like PTSD or something, like your ability to move through being stuck is going to be based on your ability to actually turn around and take an honest look at the thing that's like holding you, in place kind of thing.
exactly.
Yeah. I like the idea of at death's door. I like that.
Thank you.
So you're like kind of all in on the writing. Like you got the ideas and you're like, okay, I already did a book. It's out there. It's going well. Readers are loving it. Like, okay, we can do this. Like, let's keep working it kind of thing.
Exactly.
Cool. I love it, man. That's good to hear.
Thank you.
Are you based in Chicago or where are you based these days?
Right outside Chicago,
Yeah.
Mundelein area. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's from Mundelein. I'm from Buffalo Grove.
Nice.
Yeah.
My wife was Buffalo Grove, I believe.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, we her dad still has a house over there. So like we do visit like sometimes still, and then it's still got family like up in Buffalo Grove and Palatine and that'll always be always be special. Now we're down in Nashville. I've been here a couple of years, um but yeah, I don't know. Shout out to Lake County, Illinois. So oh, is there anything else you want to talk about with any of the books? I never know where these conversations are going to go, and I never plan them out. And I want to be like authentic, so I
Yeah.
don't have a script of any kind. Is there anything we didn't cover about Rise of Ancients without giving away spoilers, of course, because people got to check it out to get the full details.
Definitely don't want to give too many details.
Yeah.
I will say I also want to make a story where by the end you do not know who to really root for.
Ooh.
Like the good are not always pure, the bad are always not rotten. So you
Right.
never, because I hate a lot of stories like you're bad because you're bad, but why? Why are they doing these things? They never
Yeah.
go into it. So like
It's
the
like
movie,
beating up.
I love the new Disney stuff. It
Yeah.
goes into why she's doing what she's doing, and she's in the right. She was basically betrayed by her only friend, and she's going after him now. So
Yeah.
you understand where she's coming from, and you are rooting for her instead of she's just an evil witch for no reason. She must be stopped. So,
Yeah. It's like beating up a scarecrow, you're like an indefensible character with I'm
mhm,
just evil just because and I want power just because and you're
yes,
like I love a good likable villain. And it's an interesting as a culture we're going that way with like a lot more of these anti-hero stories and villain stories and Venom and seeing it from the perspective of I don't know, someone who was once good or isn't all bad. And I do think that's more real, right? Like even
hmm,
probably the worst human beings on earth probably love their mom at least, right? Like like I don't think any human being is like pure evil, even if they do
no,
horrendous things. And I feel like I don't know, there's a certain maturity it takes as a culture that we're willing to look at that honestly and not just say that like, oh, someone is 100% evil. Like,
exactly.
yeah, have a little, grace that like this is a human being, even though person's deeply twisted, disturbed. Even like I think Ted Bundy had like a wife or something. Like there was some woman who looked like all the women he hurt, and he actually legitimately loved her. And I mean, it's really complicated, right? You're like, why? I don't know. Human beings are trippy. So, but our literature needs to reflect the complexity of how we actually are, right? Not just oversimplified and yeah.
And I feel like we used to do that, like going back to the old fairy tales, the Greek mythology, stuff like that. It looked at that darker side of humanity. And then we
Yeah.
start getting into these fairy tale writings, whether it be sci-fi, fantasy, whatever, where
Mhm.
it's very much one-sided. There's no depth to it at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad we are getting or moving away from it as a society, because
Mhm.
it's important for people to see other sides. So like if like I grew up in a church where if someone had depression, everyone just kind of ghosted them. They pushed them aside. They didn't want
Mm.
anything to do with them, and
Yeah.
that was heartbreaking, infuriating. So those are the people that I surrounded myself with.
Right.
So that way they weren't left behind. So society needs to be able to look at things that they're afraid of, things that don't look pretty, and be able to see the humanity in them, why things
Right.
are happening, and how to learn from them.
Right. Like someone being depressed, like it doesn't mean they're a bad person, right? Like
No.
there's certain things we ostracize people for, but I mean there's legitimately doing horrible things, and then there's like I'm in a tough spot,
Hmm.
or having a seasonal issue, or I got some kind of chemical imbalance that I'm working through. And it's interesting what we cut people off for. I know that like for our parents' generation, let's say like therapy was very scrutinized. Like, they used to call him a shrink, or like I'm going to the psych doctor, and it's like, oh, you must
Yeah.
be crazy. Like just confronting yourself and your issues and trying to get to the bottom of like, why do I behave the way I behave was
Hmm.
so discouraged. It was really funny. But I will say, I think the Catholics have it right with the whole confession thing. Like, regardless of like, okay, if confession literally means God forgives you, this idea of
Yeah.
like, you are going to say the worst things you ever did to a human being, and they're going to say, in spite of everything you just told me, I love you, you still matter, and it's okay. You're going to do these acts, you're going to say these prayers,
Hmm.
and then you're going to work to be better, and like giving yourself a clean slate to like stop punishing yourself and feeling
Exactly.
horribly guilty. And obviously people could probably take advantage of that. You just can't do
Oh, they
something
do.
horrible and then go to your priest and you're like, okay, good, now I'm going to do it next week. But people, can spend a lifetime getting bogged down by like their mistakes or something and never really being able to let it go and move on. So I feel like what we're talking about now is kind of parallel to your new book in a way that like until you open that door and face it, like we're not getting out of this mansion, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to work on that as a world, I think. I,
100%.
I don't know. There's something tripping up humanity. I can't figure out what it is. But I think about this and I was like, I got neighbors on either side. I have no
Yeah.
interest in like kicking down their door and like taking their stuff. But I was like, but somehow countries can't do the same thing. Like just, you have what you have and you're making the best of what you have and you're trying
Hmm.
to work with the people around you so that we can all have a little more. But somehow like countries can't behave by that same principle as just like that neighbors can.
I think once you
Yeah.
get to a certain place, you feel entitled, all powerful, and
Yeah.
you start looking down at the people around you. They might be a different skin color. They might have different strengths or weaknesses that you don't
Yeah.
like or don't have. So you get jealous and go after them. The world is just full of hate, and face to face, people tend to be able to work things out. But when they
Yeah.
become ambiguous, it's just my hunk of land versus yours, and they lose their faces, they lose their humanity.
And internet culture too. Like we are very good at working things out in person, and there's several reasons. I think part of it is like you don't want to like hurt somebody who's right in front of you, and you also don't want to be
Mhm.
punched in the face. But like we tend to be able to work things out. But I think about there's a lot to unpack in there. There's a weird phenomenon in humanity where like we either fight internally in our communities or we
Yes.
pick some group that's the other.
Hmm.
But like the fact that there has to be some enemy or scapegoat at any given moment is very peculiar. Like, why do all of your problems have to be somebody outside of you? It can't just be a matter of like, oh, maybe I'm bringing this into my own ignorance, lack of understanding, lack of motivation, lack of hope, lack of faith.
Hmm.
Or even like, even if all that was true and there is some group that's oppressing me, you're like, okay, well, what am I going to do about it outside of like violence? Like, what can or can I still enjoy happiness? Can I still find love? Can I still get married and have children and provide for my family? Like, can I still enjoy the beauty in life regardless of like the weird things around me?
Yes.
And another thing I'll add on that point, and it's kind of parallel, but anyway, um, I have to imagine like if we went to war with like let's say China, right? Like you and I probably have much more in common with the average Chinese family than like either of us has with our own leaders. Like all around the world,
Yeah.
it's like very powerful people sending a bunch of regular people living quiet lives to go, fight their battles. And I imagine like they're, maybe not doing a podcast, but they're sitting at the kitchen table and living a quiet life and laughing with their kid and trying to just find some joy and have some tea or coffee or something. And
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe there's one day where like our leaders try to send us to war and a bunch of people just say, no, I'm
No.
good. It's like, no, I'm good. I'm fine right here. Like no one's bothering me. I'm not bothering anyone. Like I'm not gonna go fight some people who never wronged me thousands of miles away. And maybe that's hopefully the end game of our spiritual evolution as human beings, but maybe.
Hopefully one day we do hit that. But
Yeah.
conflict is very unifying. And if people can figure out, like, hey, you have this enemy, they're the reason for all of our problems. You lose accountability, which is a huge stress.
Yeah.
Uh, and then you can easily unite a whole mass of people if you can just trick them into thinking that. And we see
Yeah.
that whether it's um, like current politics
Yeah.
or
Or
the
like, Jewish
kids,
people in World
Backstreet versus
War
NSYNC.
II.
They're literally the same band.
Yeah, they're basically the same thing. But yeah, people fall for that. I will say though, I've noticed a trend that whenever that kind of thinking comes in and connects, it's
Hmm.
always tied to like some kind of economic hardship.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like even if it's like okay, the KKK forming, after I don't know, in like very very poor communities who like, it's
Yeah,
like oh, well, the reason that our community is so poor is because
is
these people and these people and these people, and the reason Germany is crippled after World War One is like these Jewish bankers, and the reason your groceries are so expensive right now is because of people coming over the Mexican border, and somehow it's like this certain, it's like happy people don't join cults
no,
like that's what it is. But desperate people, any message of like, it's not your fault, and here's hope, and here's solutions, and it's actually these other people, and you can unite people's anger in a common
hmm,
direction. It works, and I mean, just horrible things are on the table every time people play that. But somehow we keep falling for that shit. Like, even though everyone has been to school and everyone is at least open to history book, somehow we still like fall for it, and no one falling for it realizes they're doing it. You know what I mean? Like no villain. That's the tricky thing. I don't know if any has on.
no, no, I don't want to upgrade.
So that's my bad, everyone. Zoom kicked us out because I knew we were approaching the 40-minute limit, but it came up fast and I was on some tangent here. So, Alan, appreciate you coming on the show. Where should people look for Rise of Ancients?
So you can find my book over at Barnes and Noble, or Amazon. So I would check those two places. Some Barnes and Nobles do have physical copies, but
Nice.
if not, if you go to the desk, they can easily order you one.
Yeah, and I imagine probably from their website too, you can order one. I would.
Yeah.
I would. What about if it's? I assume probably through Ingram. It's probably on Books a Million too. If people have
Yes.
that, like, yeah,
Hmm.
we have those down. I have one locally here. I don't know if it's more of a southern thing or not, but people do like Books a Million. So, and what about like an audiobook or anything? Is that something that's in the works or?
Currently, no. I tried reading off my own script, and I was like, I hate my own voice. So that's off the table for now until I can get that worked out.
Yeah, would that go like through, you think, the publisher, or is that something that they might leave to you to, if you choose, kind of figure that out for yourself?
With Rise of Ancients, definitely up to me.
Okay.
So the next book at that store would probably be through a different publisher as well. So they're not connected. There was no like book deal.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I would check out ACX. I didn't
ACX?
know. Yeah, it's like through Amazon, but it's basically I learned about this like recently. I went years like thinking I had to spend thousands of dollars to do an
Yeah.
audiobook. But you basically like, you claim your book and then you put it
Mhm.
out there in like kind of the open market. You describe what kind of narrator you want, and then people send you auditions, and then you construct your contract whether you're going to like pay them ahead of time or split the future royalties or a combination. And then you just see who advertises. So like for me, I found some great narrators, and like I'm happy to split the future proceeds. Like these guys are working
Yeah.
hard, we can grow together. But I found some amazing. I mean, there's incredibly talented people on there, and it didn't cost me anything to produce the audiobooks. And now, like, okay, they're out there, we're pitching them, and let's make money together with the narrator. So that is a viable option for sure. But I remember I had some quotes for like $4,000 or $5,000, and I was like,
Nope.
God, like, yeah, it's like before that, it was like, audiobook network, not to throw anyone under the bus, but these services would be like, oh, we'll do it for one small time, one upfront payment of $4,000. And it just was like not realistic. You're like, how long is that going to take to recoup? You know what I mean? Like, how many audiobooks do I have to sell to get that? So there
Hmm.
are options, but this sounds like an amazing story that'd be a lot of fun to listen to and read.
Thank
I
you.
bet it's a good one. Yeah. All right, so Alan, I appreciate you coming on the show. And then definitely, when your next book's coming out, I mean, reach out to me. I'd love to have you on here, and we'll talk more about that one.
Of course.
All right, wonderful. And for everyone listening, Alan's links will be in the video description, so definitely check out his book, and we'll see you all next time.